Hi guys, good evening and welcome to yet another edition of InsightView series. As you know, we have been offering this on a consistent manner, both InsightView series as well as ad talks, basically to keep members and the entire fraternity engaged and get some new learning experiences from a wide section of people. And it's our focus to get newer people on board as speakers and share the experiences which will help us, spread our learning and also learn newer things, possibly which we have not been exposed to. So that way, it's a great pleasure to welcome our speaker. And Pravin has been in the media industry for quite a long time. His experience is vast in media, and I'm sure the learnings what he's going to be passing on today is going to be of immense experience to all of us, and thereby we take some learnings out of today's session. With that, I request Suraj, the secretary of the club, to introduce Praveen and then hand over the podium to Praveen. Thank you, Suraj. Thank you, Praveen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anbu. And a very warm welcome to Praveen. We're happy to have you on our 28th Inside View series session, where we deliver knowledge from very valuable people from the industry for our members and non-members across the country. Thank you for taking the time out, Praveen. Let me quickly introduce Praveen to the room. Pravin Menon, Chief Marketing Officer of Veranda Learning Solutions. As a veteran in the media industry for over 2 decades, Pravin Menon has a proven track record of building and defining brands across industries. With a pedigree ranging from Bennett Coleman and Co Limited, Worldwide Media Limited, and Vikatan, he has worked on various brands, events, digital, content, created brands, and intellectual property in BCCL, Worldwide Media, and Vikatan. He has driven a slew of significant campaigns and effective marketing initiatives. Presently, as the CMO for Veranda Learning Solutions, he's focused towards positioning the brand as one of the leading education players in the country. Graduated from the University of Mumbai, studied PG Digital Marketing at TimesPro and Executive Management courses at ISB and ASCI Hyderabad. He was an Executive Member of CII, Media and Entertainment South, and also the past treasurer of Advertising Club Madras. Praveen started his career as a senior marketing executive in the year 1995 with Network Digitech, Mumbai, following which he joined Bennett Coleman and Co Limited, Times Group, and led management level positions across Times Group companies and Vikatan for over 20 years. Prior to joining Veranda Learning Solutions, he held vice presidential position at Worldwide Media Private Limited. Thank you so much, Praveen, and we welcome you on board again for this wonderful session. Over to you.
Thank you, Suraj. Thank you, Atlab. And all those who have joined this chat today, at 2 on a Friday evening. So thanks again. Let's start. I will take you through some of the understanding that I have from the industry. I'll show you some examples of what's happening in the industry. And I will also take you through what we are doing at Veranda as a brand, and how we look at, building this brand. We're not traditionally a very old company. We launched Veranda in 2018, actually. I joined them in 21, and that's when we actually started promoting the brand. And then it's evolved, and we are in the third, fourth year now. So the topic for today is on, how do we build a resilient brand in the era of a constant change. Now, on this slide, you see a lot of brands, and these are pretty old, decade-old ads of these brands, but they still exist. And most of you will recollect the brands which are here. They're very popular. They've changed over time. And that's what we're going to see today. How is this landscape changing? How is the consumer changing? And what are we, as some of you might be media sellers, you might be media planners or creative guys. How are we looking at this? And what do we take from here is what I would like to present today. Over to the next slide. So we are at the age of disruption, and the disruption is not slow. It's like it's in full throttle right now. Some of the examples that we see is how consumers are changing, and it's changing really rapid. We've seen how if brands don't align with those consumers, then brands fail. Very simple examples like Kodak to digital photography to a Nokia to the smartphones. We've seen in this decade the rise of digital first brands. Some of the brand names you might not even know, which could be the Argo watches, which is giving a run to Titan watches, very online, premium. They put it at a price point which Titan took a while to come to that price point. Titan, I think, is now in this price points right now. You could look at Argo watches, look at Happenstance, the footwear brand, somebody like Niman's, purely built digitally. The Bombay Musk perfumes, again digitally built. And these are all fighting against those big brands which were there previously, or they still exist, but they're giving a run for their money. Rare Rabbit to a Dream 11 to the Nikas of the world. Look at the ecosystem that is being built now. We have the Swiggy, which has multiple features within it. We have something like Amazon, which has music, these bookstores, to the marketplace, to videos and stuff like that. And we have WeChats and Tata Neu. When I said, the speed at which disruption is happening, now look at, I joined media in the late 90s, 98 to be precise. And over a period of time, I've seen how media landscape have changed. When I joined, it was all about print and TV. TV then became cable TVs, then went into the OTT platforms recently, and then now we have a whole other things coming up. So look at how newspapers have changed from e-paper to most of us now look at news like in shorts, very crisp news, which we see on our phones. Consumption of news has moved from the physical part to the mobile screens. Look at the analog watches to smart watches, how fast we've changed. Look at the introduction of EVs today. Any road, any part of India you go and you see EVs flying up and down. Look at supermarkets which have changed, like Nilgiris and the Kinara stores which we had has moved into your mobile, which is Instamarts and the other shopping, the big baskets and stuff like that. From a travel company point of view, that is also disrupted. Now you have the Ubers and the Ola of the world. You don't call your tourist car guy to get you a car. Within seconds, minutes, you do your booking on your phone and you are traveling. Look at long-term travel or long-distance travel, where we used to look at Sita Travels or a Thomas Cook. Now you have somebody like a Pick Your Trail, which gives you experience. You can do your customized travel. Look at creative, like look at the recent ones, which is the Ghibli Studios to the Ghibli AI, which has become, dubbing has become as Visual Dub, which is an AI company again. Look at the creative agencies who are there today, and you have somebody like a Hypergrow AI, which gives you solutions using AI tools. So the kind of disruptions that you see is not in only in media, but it is across verticals that you see in every product line that we see. We see a disruption happening there, and this is the age of that. And so the speed at which this disruption is happening is something that we have to be very conscious about. We have to work together to understand these technological changes that's happening, and that's very critical for us. Next slide. Now with this, these are all happening from a business point of view, which I just spoke about. And now let's look at the various consumer engagements that's happening, right? I spoke about when I came into media, it was print, radio, TV, outdoor, some amount of events were happening. But look at the landscape that has changed now and look at the touch points that's coming up or developing now for consumers. Next slide. So we have AI is everywhere. It's very personalized now. Look at Netflix, Spotify, Flipkart, Amazon, you name it, and you are all using it. So that's the change happening, and that's a major touch point for customers. Look at the hyper personalizations that you get, whether it's a Myntra shopping, which is powered by fashion recommendations by AI. Your shopping experiences on Amazon is also today powered by AI or a Flipkart. So that's hyper personalization, localization that's happening today. Look at the conversational commerce you can do, which is you can buy a product through WhatsApp chat. Reliance is driving it very well. WhatsApp is also investing a lot of money into it. So the whole touch point for a consumer is not about, you put an ad in a print and then he sees it and then he calls and then he comes to the store. Those things are changing, right? So these are all touch points which are coming. Next. Apart from that, in this journey of the consumer, you have the influencer marketing happening. There is micro influencers. Look at the big influencers, like let's say a Malaika or a Khan or somebody who's the national level big brand player, or a local, you have a Tirunelveli influencer also who talks about travel, food, products, style, all of it. So there is a lot of influencers happening. There is social commerce like the Instagram shops, the Flipkart social commerce. You have the memes and virals, again, another medium in which people are communicating. We are seeing it on Dream11, Zomato, Swiggy's. All these are platforms today where you have options to communicate or connect with the consumer. Then, of course, we have the AR, VR, the metaverse, where we have very experiential virtual stores where you can experience the product virtually and then move on to a physical store to buy your product. So that's very seamlessly going right now. Look at how gaming has improved, how gaming platforms have become big, whether it is, gamification in cred where you play and get some points to pay your credit cards, or you look at Dreamland fantasy games, which you have a branding through Stan, which does for gaming platforms for branding. So these are all various touch points that we are having. So you see, instead of 3 or 4, which we used to do before, today we have so many options for us to reach out to our customers, and that's getting even more complicated as we go forward. Next slide. And in all of this, you also need to sustain the brand. So you have brands which are like Tata Tea and the Forest Essentials, which are basically driving the eco-friendly style of promotions. You have your inclusivity, which is another very strong point which is coming out, whether it is the LGBT campaigns, whether it is the woman power campaigns, all of this are things also which are going for the brands. So it's not only about touch point, but also what you're trying to communicate through these is also getting very, very important. I was talking about how seamlessly the virtual stores are getting mixed with your physical store. And so we have seen these examples on Reliance Trends or a Decathlon where you can actually virtually see the products before you walk into the store and pick up what you want to buy in Decathlon. Look at how the pure online brands like Meesho's and the Boats and Sugars are actually disrupting the offline centers or offline stores retail experience that we have. This is also happening in the travel segment, which we saw some examples of those pick your trails vis-a-vis Thomas Cook. But I'm just trying to bring back this point where we start looking at what are the various things that's happening in this marketplace, what are the things happening on media, where is the consumer going, where are he, is consuming his content or is engaging with the thing. So it's not about just being on one platform, but you need to understand all of this when you do your media planning, when you look at marketing plans, when you think about launching a product, these all come into play. Of course, in the marketing place, we do have now the memberships and the subscription. This was there even prior. It was basically points on your credit cards and stuff like that. But now we are seeing a lot more integrations happening, whether it is, and these subscriptions keep changing. It's again driven by consumer behavior. So you have sometimes 99 rupees offer on let's say a Netflix to you might have a 199 on Amazon. These keep changing. They keep playing around with different offers. Spotify gives students a 6-month subscription with then a 50% off. All of this, right? So subscription models are big. There is NFT and digitals, which is also coming up. Adidas is using it very well. Today, the IPL teams also do NFT, but not to the levels of the international players like Prada or Adidas, who uses it much more effectively using blockchain to offer their customers very special discounts, or when their product launches happen, they're exclusively showcased to these members, and then they do the sale to these guys. So that kind of goes viral also, and it's a very privileged thing. So NFTs and digital collectibles are again being used very effectively by a couple of brands that we see now. So when you look at all of this, the challenges that we see as marketeers is the changing consumer demography. We look at the privacy thing that's coming up, which is already implemented in Europe and US. India is also going to put its own rules. DIPP is coming. With all these sound and so many touch points, there is consumer fatigue. There is whether it's an authentic new product, it's not a spam or a fake news that's coming. That's also there. Then of course the tech-led disruptions are coming, which is AI, Web3s, and the 5Gs. I'm not going to talk about the bottom three. I'm going to stick to the changing consumer demography for this presentation, because the first part, which I spoke to you about, was all about technology, the different touch points and stuff like that. We will look at what the consumer change is happening, right? And we are at this point where it's a very interesting period in which we are sitting right now, if you actually look at it. And you will have different demographies, which you will see, or age groups, we will put it that way. So you have the oldies. Go to the next slide. I will leave the builders and the baby boomers for now, because that's like, for us, it's like the granddads and grandmoms there. So we will not talk much about the builders and the baby boomers, but they do exist. Their influences are a little lesser as compared to the generation X, Y, Z, and the alpha. So we will stick to these four categories of generation and see what is it. Why did I say that we are sitting in a place, or we are in a period which is very challenging, is because the generation X is very, very influential right now. The generation Y is come into the workforce, or they have come into the mid-level, and then the Gen Zs have come into the workforce. So we have the senior management, mid, and the entry levels here. And then the alpha is coming in, who's the next set of what we used to call as Gen Zs at that time. But a big influencer is the alpha, which is coming in. Now, if you look at these four segments, and if you look at the consumers there, the generation X, we actually, I would be part of the generation X. I would say I have seen from print TV to cable to then to OTT, from a Walkman to a iPod to Spotify. So I have that kind of a mix, and most of my generation has gone through this mix. We took our time to understand this media landscape, and we came. But when we look at Gen Z or the generation Y, they moved much faster to us because they started from the CD level. We came from the cassette LP player, but they went on to iPods and stuff like that. Look at the Gen Zs, they're already from the iPod only. They don't even understand. If you show them a cassette or a LP player, they just cannot digest that music was in that. Or if you say that television had only like this time slots, they just can't digest those things, because for them it's more OTT and the rest of it, which is as per their demand and not as per what the channel decided as time for you to watch. So it was not as per appointment, it is as per their choice. And the Gen Z, post Gen Zs, now look at the alphas who are getting exposed to AI from day one. So that's going to be a completely different generation that's coming, and we need to understand them better as marketeers, as media planners, as creative guys, as to how we are going to communicate our products, services to this generation too. Go to the next slide. So I'll go a little deep here on generation X. So this is the characteristics of the generation X, very, very generally I have put it here. often considered as a bridge between analog to digital. Like I said, I've come from print, DD1, DD2 to cable network to the digital world now. So we've moved, the Generation X has moved and seen all of this, and we are currently in this period. We value independence, we value practicality, very balanced. That's the overall persona of this particular generation. And now, so we had very traditional media mix and all that, where you can go and talk to us, right? Now you come to the next slide, which is the Generation Y, which is born between 86 to 95, very, very digitally savvy. That's what we used to consider very young, who are in their 30, mid 40 ke paas. So there they are very, experienced, socially conscious, digitally very savvy, very personalized guys, not like us who used to have appointed led television viewing or content viewing. And these guys are completely different. So the marketing strategies for this generation is a little different to what is for Generation X. Now you look at the Gen Z mix, which is between 96 to 2005. These are truly digital natives, full-time into digital, very short attention spans. We'll come to that. They look at a lot of interactivity, visual content. That's why videos are doing very well. We've been seeing it over a decade now in terms of reports from various media houses that the video contents play a very important role. The consumption of video is very high, things like that. So those are the learnings that we took from here. These guys are very well exposed to the shorts, the reels, and the Instagram. They do it extremely well. Unlike the Generation X's, which is my generation, we are not so good on creating reels and things. There are some, but not many. But this group, which is a Gen Zs, are brilliant on these things. They do excellent work. So their engagement levels are completely different. For them, experience is everything. If you look at the kind of live acts that's happening today, the Gen Z crowd is somebody who really enjoys those live experiences. Their travel patterns are very different. Unlike us, who used to do 2-3 locations at one holiday, they like to do one location per holiday, explore it fully, experience the space, whether it is travel, food, entertainment. Their way of life is like that. And now we come into the next, which is the generation which is just come in, which is the Generation Alpha, right? They are the ones just getting out of college, schools, coming into college. They will very soon come into the workforce. Now, this Generation Alpha is going to be, in the next few years, will be your core TG audience whom you would want to target because they'll have the money to spend, they are the decision makers, things like that. So the marketing strategies, the way we communicate with them is going to be very, very different to what we've seen, I would say, last 2-3 years. That's also going to change a lot. And then, of course, after this comes the Generation Beta. I don't know the profile of the viewers here, but if you are in your early stage of your career and all of that, then your alpha and the betas are going to be a big TG, in which when you become media planners, buyers, or the heads of marketing, this is going to be the audience that you're going to be addressing to or trying to target. So the more we understand these consumers, the more we understand or engage with the new techs which are coming up, the AI tools and stuff like that, it will help the marketeers to engage far better and create brands much more long. You will have long life in the brands today. In the future, sorry, in today you will see multiple brands coming and going. Their name changes. There's no loyalty for the customer. There are very few brands who are taking it forward. So it will be very, very important for marketeers, for media planners, media sellers to understand these consumers who are coming up and what's the pattern in which they're going to go. So when we want to build a very resilient brand, a long-term vision when we want to look at it. Like I said, the most critical part is going to be is understanding the consumer, the age groups, the kind of consumptions that they are doing, the way they are engaging with certain platforms will be very, very critical for any brand that comes into play. You might be in the travel business, you might be in the food business, you might be into retail or even media sales. Unless we understand this consumer very well, the kind of age groups that they are in, the lifestyle of these customers, it will be very, very challenging for a brand to position itself and sustain itself for a long term. The second point is that when we understand our consumer and when we are working on a particular brand, understanding and articulating our brand promise is the most important thing that we have to do to build our brand with these consumers. This becomes our base, and from here on, with this promise is where you build your brand. You cannot keep diluting the brand promise or keep changing it because you found a new set of consumer who's coming in. But if this is the brand promise that you're going to, and this is why you want to have brought in this brand or you're working on this brand, you will have to understand what that brand is standing for, and then try and reach out to the consumer as how you understand that TG that is there. You have to embrace and innovate with technology which is there. I'll show you some examples of some of the big brands who've been there for decades but are using technology and these kind of understandings very well and how they have launched their new campaigns. I'll show you some examples as we go forward. I've spoken about the new channels and formats which have come up. I've spoken about, or I showed you some example of the different platforms which are coming in and how we need to understand those platforms for us to use those platforms to communicate with our consumer. Of course, data-driven storytelling, that's very, very important because today, via digital, via the connected TVs, you have so much data with you that you have to do your storytelling with touch points of or understanding the data, which will help you to communicate far better with the consumer. If you look at what we did late 90s and early 2000, we didn't have so much of touch point. We used to have IRS data or an NRS data, which is print. And then we used to make our own assumptions and stories and sell it to brands or brand owners and to media companies saying that this is what the persona of our reader is or our viewer is. And then, you connect with them. Today, a client, I sit in the client side now. My questioning is purely from data points only. Unless I have clear-cut data to justify what is being presented to us, we don't look at it or we don't engage with those media. So data-driven storytelling is very important. And again, there will be some examples which I'll show you on how brands have used these data points to communicate to their customers. So my first example that I'm going to talk about is Hira Mandi. I am sure most of you would have seen it. It's one of the big productions this last year that happened, and that too Sanjay Leela Bhansali coming onto an OTT platform. Does anyone know about Hira Mandi's actually why it was launched? Any guesses? Anybody there who knows it? Wants to give it a shot? No? Okay, it's actually a production that is being sponsored by Reliance Retail. They tied up with Sanjay Leela Bhansali. They launched it before the wedding season. Their touch point or the data points that they had was that when people go for their wedding shopping and when they go into different markets, whether it is the Mahatma Gandhi market in Bombay to a Khan market in Delhi to Bangalore, where the wedding shopping happens, people refer to a particular movie style or a celeb style and say, I want a lehenga which looks similar to what X and Y star wore in her wedding. And that's how the communication start, or the salesman also starts showing those kind of examples. And that is why when you look at this series, and when you look at the series from that lens, you will start understanding that each character in this particular series has actually been taken from different parts of India. So you have Aditi Rao, who represents Hyderabad, that belt. You have North Indian belt, which is a UP belt with Richa Pandey. You have UP again with that other girl, who's the lady who's standing, Sonakshi, like that. Sanjida is a Muslim. She also comes from the northern part. And they've actually used these people to showcase a collection which is linked to Reliance Retail. And that's how this whole story is being done and being promoted. And you will see a lot of content on the jewelry and the clothing wear as bits and pieces across social media. If you actually start going and seeing it, then you will kind of get a reference as to, oh, this is where this thing is coming from. And this was actually built for that, and they put it on Netflix and then promoted it across to the TG that they wanted to target. Next. So that's content which is being created using data points. Now, here is Spotify. I'm sure most of you use it. It again uses a lot of data points. It creates and gives you a playlist as per the kind of music that you listen to, and it kind of throws up collections from there. It gives you playlists, it gives you recommendations. Same with Amazon Music, they give you recommendations with the kind of music genre that you're listening to constantly or liking or saving as your playlist. Those are songs that keep coming as recommendation to you. That's what Spotify does. Spotify internationally, what it also does is that when you know that a particular artist is being listened to or liked or followed more, they kind of do a live event, and that's again a revenue model that Spotify does internationally. I'm sure very soon we will start seeing that happening even in India, where we will see how consumers are listening to a lot of music, and you will find a lot of artists coming into India. And I'm again saying they are using those data points to go and tell the artists that here is an opportunity. So many listeners in India, you can have a great show. We've seen that happening in the last 2-3 international shows that has happened, and there are more coming in. Eminem to Guns N' Roses to various other artists who are going to come and play in India very shortly. Next. This is an example of a Royal Stag, how they've used digital, how they've used the World Cup as a platform to promote Royal Stag very smartly to the viewers of the World Cup, which is like a religion in India any which way. So Royal Stag used it very well. Please have a look at this example.
This is the largest World Cup ever. When it's cricket, every Indian dreams of getting close to their favorite players and the World Cup trophy. But only a few get a chance to live this dream. Well, not anymore. Seagram's Royal Stag presents 1 billion films for 1 billion fans. That's 1 billion personalized videos starring every Indian fan and their favorite cricketers.
But how?
It's the magic of AI. Visit this link. Upload your selfie and record a voice sample. Register and submit. Generative AI then applies your face and your voice onto the main characters of the film. And voila! You have a personalized film starring you and the cricketers. This World Cup, billions will live large by featuring in 1 billion videos with Bumrah, Rohit and Surya. Seagram's Royal Stag packaged drinking water. It's our life. We live it large.
So this is Royal Stag. Like I said, look at how they were used, the World Cup, how they've used AI, integrated it together. This becomes a viral platform or a product or a user-generated content which goes on to social media. Obviously, you would love to see yourself with the cricket stars, and they've done it very, very smartly. This went really viral during the World Cup last year, and their Royal Stag very smartly puts its line in as large Hamara hai. So it's their tagline, make it large, and they've really done it well using AI and the different platforms which are available for promoting the brand.
This is
Now, here is another example of another great brand, Cadbury Celebrations. Like I said, understanding consumer, what is your brand promise is very, very important. And then how do you use that to, if that is your understanding, if you have that very well, then you take it across mediums. And here is an example of how celebrations, which is all about love, Cadbury's has always been about sharing love. That's their brand promise. And here is a creative that they've done for Raksha Bandhan.
We have a photo of every special moment while growing up together, but even then, there are some moments that don't get clicked. This Raksha Bandhan, gift your sister those moments that were never clicked. Log on to CadburyCreatingMemories.com, describe the moment that you want in the photograph, and then create a photograph of that unclicked memory to create a special Rakhi gift for your beloved sister. Buy the special pack for her or gift a free digital version. Cadbury Celebrations. कुछ अच्छा हो जाए, कुछ मीठा हो जाए.
That's another great way of connecting with the consumer. They've used AI. You give the description of a particular scene that you had with your sister or brother, and you put your images. It creates an image, gives it to you, put it on a pack and give it. So this drives sales. Sales during Raksha Bandhan for this period, they grew it more than 10 to 15% is what they were presenting the other day. And it was a big hit for Cadbury's. They did similar for even Valentine's. We'll see the next video.
We have a photo of...
Oh, this is for thumbs up.
If there is a
Yeah, play it.
tweet doubting the team, I will reply to it. Don't lose hope, my friend. India's win percentage against England in one-day international cricket is 53.77%. Trust me, India will bounce back and conquer this tough pitch.
Now here it is thumbs up again during the World Cup. What thumbs up did and how they understood the premise was that there was a learning or consumer insight they got was a lot of parallel chat happens when the match is going on, whether it is IPL, whether it is World Cup. During that period, this generation, which is your Gen Zs and your Generation Y, are very active on social media while they watch the live matches. And at that time, if there is negative comments, how they have played this is that they've used Shah Rukh Khan's voice. There are different modulations. For each match, when a wicket goes or whatever, and people start giving negative comments, there is a positive comment being pulled out from this bot. This bot will go and they've linked it to Twitter and the other social media platforms like Meta. And when you put a negative comment, there is a comment which comes from here, which is a voice of Shah Rukh, or a post from Shah Rukh which comes to you, which says, this is the statistics, and it will give you a positive note against that. And this is what they did for the World Cup by thumbs up. Again, a great connect between the consumer to the platform and how they use technology to reach out to a larger audience through this. This again boosted the brand lift for thumbs up as well as the consumption for thumbs up during this period. Next.
Love. It isn't about buying expensive things, but about those small, meaningful gestures our partners do for us. Like when they do something adorable to make us smile, or when they plan a crazy surprise, or when they know exactly how to take care of us. Now imagine if this Valentine's Day, Bollywood's biggest director of young love and AI come together to recreate your love story. that could feature on, get this, Disney Plus Hotstar.
Cadbury Silk presents The Story of Us. Your love moments crafted by me, Zoya Akhtar, and powered by AI.
Just scan the Silk Pad and share those meaningful moments with Zoya that make your love story special. Using these, our proprietary text-to-image to animation Gen AI tool will create a beautiful short movie featuring you and your love. Share it with them. It will be the most awesome Valentine's gift ever. Don't forget, your story of us can be the one to drop on one of the largest OTT platforms, Disney plus Hotstar.
This Valentine's Day, the grandest gift you can give your Valentine is those small, heartfelt moments of your love story.
How far will you go for love?
In Cadbury's, Dairy Milk, the love story, Valentine's Day, connecting with the Gen Zs, the Alpha, create your own story, put it on the largest OTT platform, distributed it. They had a great sale. The engagement levels were skyrocketing for Hotstar as well as for Dairy Milk across platforms. Great branding, great storytelling, and they brought out good results for the sales team. Next. So, and no, this is not the slide. I think the previous one. Okay, sorry. Okay. So, while we spoke about, the big brands like the Cadburys and the Thumbs Ups of the world, we are not as big as them, but keeping all of this, what do we do in Veranda? I represent Veranda Learning, which is an education company. We have 10 subsidiary brands under us. We are in the K-12 space, to commerce education, to government test prep, to technology, to higher education. We have multiple brands who services different consumers at different levels in their career or in their learning journey. So we as Veranda, how are we using these learnings that we see in the market, and how are we communicating to our brand about our brands to our consumer? We have a big challenge because we have to deal with the parent who might be a generation X, and we have to deal with the alphas who are coming to the schooling or into the college level. Gen Z is a big group because they're finishing college and coming into the workforce, and so that is a big TG for us. So we have this mix of consumers and we need to speak to them. And how are we doing it at Veranda? We actually connect with the consumer through multiple things. So I'll take you through the 6 points that I've written here. So our media mix has digital, of course, it is a given today. There's content marketing, there is PR, print, and TV is predominantly that we use. We do a whole lot of activation also, which is college activation, which I'll come to. How is AI transforming our marketing? So we have now started using a lot of creation tools using AI, and we do content creation. We also shoot the genuine content, which is your testimonials and all of that, which plays a big role for education. So we do a lot of content creation. We've been implementing a lot of AI tools now into our marketing initiatives, whether we have certain ready-made tools also, which is like, for WhatsApp and all that, we have Wati, Gupshup. These are some of the tools that we use. There is CRM and all of that, and some layers on top of it. We also use things like Audience AI or an Ad GPT to analytics to understand which is the campaign that is working for us, what is the kind of engagement on those campaigns, what is the kind of lead that we are getting from this campaign, is the lead prospective or is it a bad lead, is there a tweaking that is required. So we do a lot of data analytics on these things to for each of our campaign. For each brand, it's a different style of campaign. So we kind of analyze these data points and then we put it out. We know which are the ones which are working really well for us, and we continue to do it with a light here and there. We do some touch-ups to make it more relevant for the audience that we are talking to. We are also creating our first-party data, because I mentioned about the data privacy policies that is coming up. So what we have started doing is to create a customer data platform within Veranda. So we have a centralized customer data platform, and we then are studying the database from there. We are also creating our alumni network, and as on date, we have about 6.5 lakh plus alumni in that network, and we are leveraging those data points to reach out to customers, to amplify our offerings, to upsell and cross-sell to our customers. So that's something that we are very consciously doing it on a day-to-day basis. So like I said, we study our touch points, we do a lot of data collection, and so we start to understand our customers. Along with the customers, what we also do is that every quarter, every half year, we have a pretty in-depth customer survey that we do, and we kind of understand what are their consumption or touch points with us. Where do they consume content? Where do they consume news? Or where do they go for entertainment? Things like that, So it kind of gives us an idea as to which are the platforms that we should use for us to communicate to this audience. We also, like I said, digital is a given, but college activation and government partnerships like the National Skills Development Board, the Karnataka Skill Development Board, Kerala's Skill Development Board, all these skill development boards are very critical, because that is where my TG sits. And we do a lot of direct to college activations, or even at direct to school. We don't partner with events and what do you call any of the entertainment events types, because that's not the platform that we want to be as an education company. So we've kind of shied away from it, but otherwise we connect directly with the colleges and the schools at the ground level. And for us, how we are measuring our success is the first thing that we look at is actually with the brand promise that we have, which is affordable education with measured outcomes. That's our brand promise. So we look at how we spend so that we don't build that cost onto our program cost, and which increases the cost for the student. So we ensure that our spends are very, very limited or effective. And with that, we also look at how our program is getting delivered, each business unit wise. We check every week on how these outcomes are being delivered to the student. And that becomes very, very critical for us. Apart from just doing, media planning, campaigns, seeing how the performance of the campaign and all of that is there, that's a given. But this is very, very critical for us to ensure that we stick to our brand promise, the vision of the company, that we will give affordable, high quality education with measurable outcomes. That's the brand promise vision of the company. And that's where we are heading towards. And this is what we do at Veranda. Next. So in the last 15, 20, 30 minutes that you would have seen is that we are in this VUCA world, which is very, very volatile, chaotic. It is changing always. And technologies are advancing like crazy. Today we see a Ghibli AI, tomorrow it will be something else. You have the visual dub, which is doing some excellent work in that space. Gaming is completely changing in a different level. Look at, I saw an ad, something like a Dino Muku, which is done by the Storytellers Union in Kerala. Just have a look at that video. It's just brilliant. And we are just trying to still understand and see how can we use all these technologies. So for any brand, for any marketer today, it is to, understand this technological advances that's happening. What is that consumer expectations are? Where is his touch point? Becomes very, very critical for us to be focused and to survive in this VUCA world. Next. So my conclusion is that brands must be adaptive. It has to be tech savvy and socially conscious to survive. You have to collaborate with multiple brands, whether it is startups. Today, you can buy gold on Instamart or on a Zepto. Tanishq sells gold, or a Malabar Gold also sells on Zepto. So that is the joining of hands of the startup versus the traditional player. Your loyalty is shifting from brands as in brands to experiences. You give a bad experience, whether it is a product, whether it is a service, whether it's a shopping experience, the customer just drops you and moves on to the next brand. Here in the side image that you see, these are brands which have been there for decades, who have been doing some excellent work and has been evolving, changing, and moving forward as per how the customers are changing today. So as I said, the generations are changing. The generations are exposed to various technologies and media platforms. How we as marketers, we as brand owners or custodians, how are we going to communicate and keep our brand alive will be to understand the customer, to understand technology. How do we engage or use those technologies to better our services to our customers? And that's how we can build a very strong brand. That comes to my end of my presentation. I'm open to taking questions. Thanks again. I think you patiently listened to 45 minutes of what I was talking or what I was showing. And I hope there is some thought I'm leaving behind to you to think over, to digest and explore more on the various options that are there today in this market. How do we keep ourselves educated and up in this field that we are, which is marketing, media sales, media creatives. It's very important that we keep ourselves updated so that we are relevant in the business that we are. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Pravin. What an insightful session. I think we need a longer session to delve deep into many facts that you said, and I've particularly found that very interesting about Hira Mandi, right, which was a very interesting insight for the wedding season. Never looked at it in that lens, but a wonderful series as well. That did an amazing job. So we'll open up the session, and to each of you here, it'll be great if you could come on camera. Please feel free to ask your questions for the next 5 minutes as we're running short of time. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. Good evening. This is Narayanan here from Dinamalar, Chennai.
Good evening, Narayan.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, Mr. Narayan.
Thank you. It was excellent presentation and very good for the next generation, rather. They have to catch up the fast track. The growth was very less in the past 10 years, but now the growth is very fast and they have to change the speed and the methodology also to catch up the young generation. The old, I'm sure the conventional method will not work. So even the guys with 30, 40 years experience have to learn the new techniques and switch over the gears and join with the youngsters. Am I right, sir?
True. We all have to. I mean, if that is the consumer that we are going to target,
fantastic.
We have to
now I'm good. This is a starting point where everybody can switch and learn the new techniques. It's a bit difficult, but nothing is difficult when you put full interest and try to learn. I am in the printing industry, newspaper industry for the past 42 years. I am a doctorate in printing. Still teaching and sharing knowledge with Anna University. That's good. That's a sharing to the society, like you.
Mr. Narayanan, can you come to your question, please? It is a Q&A session.
Yeah. Sorry. No, the ultimately, even the newspaper the advertisements are difficult to pour in nowadays because they need always innovations, always different type of projections. If not, it's sure that circulation will come down. What is your opinion about it, sir? Please.
While we talk about circulation coming down, but like I said, we need to evaluate. Our evaluation will happen as we texts come in. So you look at, I said about newspaper to e-paper to an InShot, right? So similarly, digital newspaper or digitally how you're going to see the brand is very strong. So for example, your Dinamalar, right, which is one of the most premium Tamil newspapers in Tamil Nadu, been a long-standing player. I mean, the news that you put out is far more genuine than anybody doing some YouTube news channel, right? So you started digital. You have a very good digital presence, Dinamalar. You have a very strong YouTube channel or social media channel in which the consumers are coming. As far as Dinamalar is concerned, whether it is print, digital, or whether it is going into another format, as far as it is Dinamalar, right? I look at it that way that Dinamalar is growing. That is not shrinking. The growth of Dinamalar is through its digital platforms, the kind of because the consumer has changed, right? Today, I read newspaper in the morning. My daughter doesn't read newspaper in the morning, but she knows the news in a few seconds because she's very digitally savvy. And if that consumption, whether I do it on Dinamalar or she does it on Dinamalar's digital arm, we both are consuming the same brand, right?
Yeah.
And that's what the brand owner needs. That you consume my news is what you're looking at as a product. Yes,
absolutely.
As a physical product, the innovations that you guys do to whether it is Times of India doing the innovations there, and then how are they driving traffic from print to digital and from digital to print, right?
Yeah.
That is the thing that's happening, and that's how your numbers also will sustain. I mean, you have new sections, like for example, again, I'll take Times of India. They brought in a new section on Earth, right? On the issues of nature and stuff like that. There is this audience, this young audience who wants to know more about that. They're eco-friendly guys, so they read there, right? While they see it on digital, but they also read here. So that's the only way you can promote readership in both ways.
You are right, sir. You are right. Thank you so much.
It might come down, but your services are still going bigger.
Yeah, you are right, because the brand name plays a major role. And not only me, there are excellent dailies around India, and we are all growing together. But only the ratio differs from person to person, how much you put efforts and go inside. Thank you so much for your kind guidance. And, sir, excellent meeting you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kind of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Narayanan, for the question.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Venkateswaran, do you have a query? You're on mute if you are talking, because we can see your video. Okay, until Venkateswaran figures that, I'm going to read one question on the chat window from Uma, which is, as a leader of an edutech brand, can you enlighten us what went wrong with Byju's?
I wouldn't say went wrong in the sense that, there were multiple, I think, business units that they had. So they spread themselves too thin. Second, I think they kind of moved away from their brand promise. Customers started feeling that they were not being serviced properly. That was a period of COVID, and there was too much of digital consumption that was happening. From an education point of view, I'm saying, and people wanted to go back to their hybrid models, which is do offline as well as online. They were not doing so much of offline. They came into offline later, but I think by the time there were some damages done, people started feeling let down, and that's when the movement happened. But if you purely look at the content that they had or the kind of products that they have excellent products. They had excellent products. It's only that the services, I think, got a little hit, and then everything else went on a different route. But otherwise, I think they had some good products. They had good pedagogy. They had good online products that they had. They were doing really well. It's when they spread themselves too thin, they went here and there. I think that's where the things started falling off. But they build their brand, right? Everybody talks about Byju's. Yeah, it has a negative thing, but they did as a brand building exercise, keeping aside the negative part of it as a positive. If you see from that angle till there, forget the negative part of it. Till the time they were positive, they were the big players. They were kind of rocking it really well. The positioning was good. Yes, they blew up a lot of money. They did spend it across mediums and stuff like that. They had the money to spend. But still, I think they kind of created a good brand name around it. But like I said, they fell on the services, or the brand promise went off somewhere. And that's where the consumer started reacting. And then, you have to do damage control and stuff like that. So I think that's where they got a little hit. And then there are other reasons for it. It's not to do with the product as in product or education as per se. It was something, the other things that has got into play now. It's nothing to do with the course or the course material or the programs that they were running. Yeah.
Right. In fact, Baiju has restarted his X account just about 7 days ago, and he's started tweeting. And if you notice, I was just trying to understand the sentiment. There are close to about 60-70% people who are furious, but there's still 30-40% people who love the brand, and love what he did. So it's a very interesting kind of.
That's what I said. The content, the programs, the products, the kind of methodology that was put together, that were all there as is. They were very good. There's no taking away from that.
Correct.
The way they moved into the market, people were consuming it, or learning from it. I'm sure there are a lot of success stories also there. I don't know personally, but I'm sure there are success stories around it. But like I said, the brand promise somewhere, I think, missed. The services went haywire, and that's where the consumers started reacting. And then that had different layers to it, so it just got amplified. So it's very critical for brands. I mean, Byju's could be one of the examples where, like I was saying, that the consumer today is very well informed. He can drop you just like that. There's no loyalty to a brand. You need to, if you have given this promise, you better deliver that promise to that consumer, right? And if you do that consistently, I'm sure they will reward you also very well. But if you don't, then you have all these platforms to talk to, and it can just go viral and kill your brand. So you need to be really careful now.
Absolutely. So we have one final question from Nandagopal Rao, which is, what's your thought on food brands like MTR, Vidyarthi Bhavan, CTR, who are still old style when compared to a brand like Rameshwaran Cafe?
Again, it's purely, if you look at Rameshwaram Cafe to MTR, for example, MTR is going a little on the downside. The latest reports were showing that, especially with new funds and stuff like that. So they don't understand that consumer so well. Rameshwaram Cafe, in the other way around, understands its consumer really well, and they cater only to that consumer. And that consumer gives very good positive feedbacks, because of which a lot of wannabes want to be there. The FOMO comes into play that, when I go to Bangalore, I should not miss a Rameshwaram Cafe. I should have a coffee there, do a selfie, put it out, tell my friends I had a coffee there and it was great. So understand your consumer, understand what you want to give as a brand promise or a service to the consumer, and do it to the T. The consumer will reward you, and you will do extremely well in your business. The day when we, start moving. I mean, it's like, I want to go to Talpakatti and have biryani only, right? I don't want to have Chinese there. I don't want to have a pizza in Talpakatti. But if he wants to service that audience because pizzas are selling so hot, so we also do Talpakatti pizza. You don't give a good pizza to the customer, he kills both Talpakatti biryani as well as your pizza business, right? So understand your consumer well. What is it that you want to service? What is that brand that you want to take forward and give to the consumer? Don't spread yourself thin. Focus on those 2-3 things. Do that well. The customers will reward you and it will just multiply. And we have enough and more customers who will come and they need certain things, right? And that consumer base will always be high only. It's not going to shrink.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pravin, for patiently responding to all the queries. I would like, and thank you everyone for participating in this session. I'll probably hand it over to Uma to give the vote of thanks. Thank you so much, Pravin, once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Pravin, that was a very enlightening session. So, Advertising Club takes pride in bringing in different walks of leaders from various universe of media, advertising, and marketing. And today, you happen to be another leader who had presented out excellent takeaways from building resilient brands in the era of constant change beyond disruption. So you just took us through the technologies that are transforming the way brands react or communicate with the consumer, and various touch points, and including the subscription economy and the e-commerce economy, quick commerce economy, which the brands are catching up with. Then learning wise today, I should agree that Gen Beta is one word I have learned from today, because we have been hearing about Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha also to some extent, but Gen Beta is something that today I myself learned. It's my confession. So, and you took us through some wonderful case studies of this Hiramandi and how Reliance Retail has associated with, though they missed out the Ranganathan streets of T Nagar, maybe because they were representing the greater North market, and they should strategize something exclusively for South, and they should associate accordingly. And the Royal Stags and Cadbury Celebration, then Cadbury Silk Valentine's Day. How far will you go for your love? So that's one campaign, award-winning campaign that they've been winning so many medals year after year, keeping this one.
They've been very consistent with that promise. So,
yes.
And if you see over the years, they've used different technology and been bringing out the same messaging.
Despite retaining the root of the messaging, they've been adapting to the various technology, connecting with the consumer of that ages. And that's an excellent example, like how even a legendary or a traditional brand can transform itself. That's a case study. And thank you so much. It was a wonderful learning for us. And this one, I would like to thank Team Presto for the creative and for the trade promotion, Media News for You, and Indra Vaishnavi and Lokesh from the Ad Club Secretariat for coordinating everything. And Pravin, thank you once again. Looking forward to engaging you in another exciting forum related to Advertising Club Madras. Until then, we are signing off. Have a weekend, a nice weekend, guys. Thank you so much. We will reach you with another super leader shortly in a fortnight's time. This is 28th session of the fortnightly InsightView webinar series. Thank you. Signing off.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.